has been happening so far is this pricing, particularly in translation, has been quite subjective, or at least depending upon a couple of individuals or their experiences, or the demand side maybe controlled it, or the supply side controlled it. So there hasn't been any symphony between the actual demand and supply, and so what we thought is we should help the community to experience a better model. We should come up with a better model that will help the community to take better decisions regarding pricing. And this pricing should be objective in nature, not person specific. And like traditionally, project managers or project coordinators, or maybe people in charge, how they decide pricing, it is typically based on past experiences, or urgency, or the complexity, and all such typical parameters. But there is more to it, particularly now when we talk about technology. Then how technology can help us in deciding pricing, and how it can be a quick matter and objective, and not person dependent, and a very just model. So that's where we started thinking from. And so in that regard, today we have invited our CEO, Anand Shiralkar, and he would like to share his thoughts and his research regarding this topic. So Anand will be talking today on pricing your translation work. So yes, over to Anand. Anand, welcome to the webinar, and we request you to share your findings and thoughts, and the way ahead regarding this topic, pricing your translation work. Yeah, Anand.
Thank you, Salil. Hello all. Hope everyone is well. Thank you for Salil for the introduction. Let me share my screen first. Am I audible?
Yes,
can you make me the host, because I'll need permission to share the screen.
Yeah. Yes, I have made you the host.
Okay, excellent. So let me go ahead and share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So hello all, my name is Anand, and I'm founder and CEO of Rian.io, which is an end-to-end translation platform for all your translation and localization needs. So in this, I'm very much excited because we are discussing something that we have not done until now. So in this session, we'll discuss the pricing part of your translation work. Now, what has happened, lately I've been asked by many translators, and as well as senior translators as well, what should be the quote, what should be the ideal quote? And as you all know, right, we have agency also, we have also been working with several clients. So this has been a continuous focus for us to come up with a quote that should be the right quote. And there is no answer that this is right and this is wrong. And we have also done a lot of our research, and considering that the new technology is disrupting the translation market, MTP, right, as we all know, machine translation post editing is becoming very normal going forward. So it is very important to understand the pricing aspect of how the pricing would evolve in the future. And what I've seen that people who work, who understand the future and learn, have always benefit, have always an edge in terms of showcasing their services. So it's very important for us to understand it, and then we'll think and we'll discuss how we can implement it. Okay, so in the webinar, I'll quickly go through the parameters for deciding the pricing, and for any particular translation project. And at the end, we have kept a surprise for you. So this is just to ensure that you watch until the end. We will give something. We'll give something interesting. So before getting, so what are the topics that we'll cover? We'll cover what is money, what is our let's seeing from what client actually looks at, traditional versus modern pricing. We'll also go into how to justify a quote. We'll look into static and dynamic pricing. Then we will also like go through different, the new model that we are thinking, and would also like to hear your thoughts on it. And as I say it, right, like, I mean, at the end, like, I want to give like something very interesting that we have done in past couple of weeks. So with that, right, like, I would like to start the presentation. But and before starting, I would like to just mention that, I mean, if you have any questions, please share those questions. My colleague Salil or Nikhil, if you could share those questions with me, I mean, we can have it interactive session. The questions that I may not be able to answer at that point in time, I would be more than happy to take it at the end of the presentation. So let's dive deep into the presentation. So before deciding about quote, I really want you to understand what is money. Money, right? Like, I mean, if you would have, like, money has a different definitions. If you go like 100 years ago, or 100 years like afterwards, money could be very different, right? So let's look into like how, like, what is money and why money is required. So money is a medium of exchange. It is a unit of measure, stores of value, and it creates like this belongingness, right? Like, so standard, and it also creates this standard of deferred payments. But how it evolved, how was it earlier? Earlier, it was more of a barter system where you could exchange values, you could exchange value to value exchange was there. But as right, like, I mean, it was value to value. I mean, there was individuals like used to produce goods, and they used to exchange with whatever they used to specialized in. But there was no common unit for the value. Goods were perishable. Again, and the transportation of the goods, wasn't efficient as well. I mean, these are very small goods, but imagine when you are selling some big, rock, or, you're selling some big things, it was not very easy to transport as well. And it was not secure as well. So then, so as we could see, I mean, this was like 6000 BC, right? Like, the barter system was prevalent at that time. Then around 650 BC, we saw coins. And what was the benefit with the coins? There was a common unit value with the coin. I mean, and it was non-perishable. Earlier we saw, right, like, I mean, with the barter system, things could be perishable as well. Then the goods were non-inflationary, right? Like, as we know, all like with gold. Then it is transportable as well. But again, there were like some challenges also with it. So it was expensive to mine, heavy to carry around, and could be easily stolen also. Then in 960 AD, right, like, we saw the printed currency. And again, what are the benefits of printed currency? Lighter and cheaper to produce. Then, and initially, right, like, it was backed by the gold. So, I mean, it was also, right, like, can be considered like as a value. But again, challenges with it were also, right, like, it could be easily stolen. Flat currencies, like, were inflationary. Then black money, parallel economy was also, right, like, I mean, could also it could create like that economy as well. And again, right, like, it was controlled by central bank, right, like the printing of the money. Then we saw then checks like were introduced. And again, in checks like had their own benefits. Use like a cryptography, right, like for validation, such as sign that we used to use. Then user could easily specify the amount, specify the sender, receiver identities. It was very easy for us to do. But again, challenges were signature. You could easily fake the signature. I mean, there were a lot of challenges also. Check out the movie, right, like Catch Me If You Can. I mean, and it's quite like interesting as well. So checks, right. Then the e-wallets were introduced. Again, right, like, I mean, this was a PayPal, I think 1998, like AD, PayPal was introduced, and it again changed the way we used to interact. Now, if you could see Paytm or UPI. I mean, we can easily do the payment. Again, no need to carry the paper currency, higher level of security. higher accountability, fast, efficient, and very convenient. And then, recently, Bitcoin, right, like was introduced. But again, I mean, this currency has to prove. But I mean, this is how things were evolved. And whatever you are carrying right now, I mean, imagine, forget about whatever now, if you're carrying a 1,000 rupee or 500 rupees note, right, like, I mean, which was like 3-4 years ago that you had, you cannot use it right now, And you are not sure, we are not sure whatever money that we are carrying, like in terms of printed currency, whether we'll be carrying that, like, or using that after 10 years, 20 years, or 50 years down the line. So, money will keep on evolving, but it is very important for us to understand it is created for us to exchange, good. So this is, I mean, this is like the big, background, of money. But and why it is important, I mean, once we understand, right, like money is an exchange of value or services that you're doing, and these value, right, like, I mean, in exchange for the product or services, and product could be tangible, where you could see and feel that product, or it could be intangible. In case of like our way, we are doing translation, we are creating digital, producing digital goods. So again, I mean, it could be somewhere in between tangible and intangible. But when we think of money, right, like, I mean, it is very important for us, like money, it's something that we get for the value that we are generating for the client. And now, I have to come to the another slide where, why, client actually gives us the work. And this is something very important for us to understand also, because they are facing like a lot of challenges. We have to sit like in the client's shoes to understand. And they are still facing a lot of challenges, even in the current industry. I mean, there are multiple vendors. Identifying the right translators takes a lot of time. Translation takes longer than expected time. They are like facing their own challenges, so there are like multiple requesters, business units, so getting PO. And I'm sure that like you all have like seen such situation, right? Like where you wanted to work, but I mean, the work like doesn't go smooth because there are a lot of stakeholders. There are a lot of, I mean, again, the food chain and stakeholders are there, and you have to do a lot of handshakes as well for getting the work. So with that, right, like what should be our goal, right? Like what is our goal is, when we give like some work, right, like we want to give the best possible quote, to the client. And many times what happens, and again, right, like raise hands, or like if you feel that, like, I mean, it's you have been completely successful like in this journey, I would also like to invite you to talk on the webinar as well. But most of the times what happens when you provide like a quotation, client always think that like, okay, this quotation is very high, right? And I mean, although you feel that you have given a discounted price, you have given the best possible rate, client always, right, like, I mean, there is this communication or expectation gap where you try to actually give the best possible benefits, but client doesn't actually like, may not acknowledge that. And again, he is true from his side, because I mean, he has like other challenges that I mentioned, right? So again, the goal for us is to ensure that like it creates like a win-win way. And what is happening, recently, I mean, I've also been hearing that many translators, right, like even though they want to work, I mean, there is no continuous flow of work. And I feel that, like, I mean, it is all tied up to, many things, like, including, like one of the very important things, I mean, is there is no transparency. There is no, proper way, like, of, there is what I would say, right? Like, I mean, there is no right way, standardized way, right? Like of working in the translation industry. And, wherever we have seen that standardization, we have seen a lot of changes. So again, coming back to this point, like we always want, right? Like at the end of the day, we want to provide like a really good quality creative work to the client. At the same time, client should also appreciate, and it should be win-win. That should be our goal, right? And again, right, like, I mean, if someone is able to like be win-win throughout like his journey, and I've seen like some of the really good like long-term professional translators, I mean, they understand this part, and more than happy, right, like to listen to your thoughts on that. But what I've seen that in general, this is what happens, and we really like need to like find out ways, like win-win ways, and that's what, right, like I think this quotation and pricing would do. So now let's look into the other slide, right? What is the traditional translation process? And I would also like to, I mean, what I've seen in translation, and this is what like I have again, right, like with my 6 years of experience in this industry, and again, right, like I'm still learning in this industry. But what I've seen that, doing a lot of work is equated as, doing a lot of valuable work. And let me be very frank, right? Like, I mean, doing a lot of work, yes, of course, right? Like, I mean, if you're doing the creative work, yes, it is important. But doing a lot of work may not be doing a lot of valuable, like, which is related to, again, currency and money that we earlier saw. So it's not like that. Doing, right? Like, I mean, earlier, right? Like, I mean, earlier, even in this case, right? Like, I'm considering in this traditional process, I'm considering all the, so for example, even if you are using any system, I mean, there are any translation work like can take from 10 to 25, 30 different steps, and there is a huge human dependency, right? Like, for example, finding the translator, giving it to the translator, sharing it with the translator, like finding out like whether this translation is done right or wrong. Reviewer is there, then vendor again actually checks it, then send it to the project manager, then project manager, right, like on the client side, again it sends it back to the the person like who's using. So there are many what I would say, right, like many people involved like in this process. And now what has happened, right, like, I mean, with the invent, or with like all the latest technologies and CAT tools that are available, I mean, this process has been highly simplified. And this is what, right, like it is at this moment, if you see. And again, this is very important for you to understand. If you are not using that, right, like probably you need to understand, because this is how like the future is going to be. And you really need to understand like how, optimized translation projects now work. Now, what I've seen that like there are now three types of work that the client do. Like, one is like very traditional way where they will reach out to the vendor, and like will ask translator to translate, review it, and like get the file from the client side. Now the second part, like where they will ask, like they will do the machine translation and use their memory, historical memory, and they will ask someone to do the this is the modern work, right? Like, I mean, can you see my cursor? So this is the modern work, right? Like where they will put, like they will use the translation plus memory, and then they will do the quick MTP work and download the file. This is the second work that is primarily used for the quality work as well, by the which is the BIP type. And now C type has also emerged, that we have seen, where I mean, when they just want to have a look at the file, right? Like, imagine one of the investors, he received a deck, pitch deck from Korea, and he didn't actually understand the Korean language, but he just wanted to get the gist of that document, and he wanted to get a quick gist of the document. So what he did, right, like, I mean, there are free or there are tools that actually quickly translate, retaining the format, which gives them the gist of the document. And this is also going to be prevalent, right, like going forward. So you have to understand that part as well. So quick reference, this is quick translate, which happens like in a couple of minutes. So these are the three types of the optimized or future translation process. So let's now look into how should we now justify the quote, right? Like, there are these three different types. There could be like other different types as well, but this is what like we have identified until now. But how should we justify the quote? I mean, why are we putting all the codes, right, like into same way? So what we did, like we did some analysis, like from our side. We reached out to a couple of agencies, and we asked for the translation. I mean, we provided them the same work with 1,000 characters, and we sent it to all different types of agencies. And we asked for the quote. And this study, like we did to understand like what is how the quotes like are differ. And what we found, right, like, I mean, if you could see like from this slide as well, we got the quotation from 3,700 rupees to it went like up to 35,000 rupees. So there is a huge variation, right? Like, as you could see, like in the price of the translation, and everyone is working, right? Like right now. And I personally think that's the actually like, the challenge, and client gets confused. And that's why, many times, even if they want to give the work, they are so confused like with the pricing that they are not able to find out. I mean, and again, quality is so subjective, right? Like, and you don't understand it until you translate that document. So it is very difficult, to figure that out. Like in the beginning, you can use reviews, and you can use like public reviews or the reviews that are available on the website. But again, those are the reviews, right? Like curated reviews. So you cannot actually trust on that as well. So, and there are so many parameters, right? Like accuracy, what about, the quality expectations? What about the complexity of the document, like complexity of the document and complexity of the domain as well? So there are several parameters that we have to look into account. And this is how it is at this moment, right? Like, I mean, there is a huge variation, especially for, translation. So again, what are like, then how should we work, right? And, how should we quote? And many translators, right, like I always ask them, like, okay, what is your, like what is generally your rate? And this is what like we I mean, whenever we have like this vendor empanelment, or when we get like any translators on board, this is what like we discuss that, okay, I mean, how do you define the pricing? And generally translator says that like, okay, it is cost based. I mean, many translators like are doing it in this way that, okay, I mean, for year, right, like my income should be this, so per hour rate like should be this, and I can actually do the translation of these many words. So my per hour rate like would be somewhere over there. So per character or per word rate like would be there. So they consider that rate, but that is also not inefficient, because nobody can prove or provide you that like, okay, you are going to get a continuous work, right? Like in this case, then there is a competitive based work, competitive based pricing, where many companies actually provide their rates, and then like the competitive based like pricing is determined by the client. Now third is value based, and again this is also not wrong, and this is where value based is where you create like a relationship with that client, and you can get the premium if this client is getting. So imagine, right, like when I'm giving you any website or any document to translate, imagine like what is behind that. So I, or like when we want to translate, we want to see what is the ROI after the translation. So there could be a couple of reasons, right? Like we are translating. One is, we want to go out to the international market. So find out like, okay, how important that market is. Then do like some research, create like some relationships, and value-based pricing is always going to be very high, right? Like, I mean, in that case, because you're creating some relationship with the company, they also understand that you're creating a value which is just beyond the translation. So this is like a third type of pricing. And fourth pricing type, right, like which we'll be talking about right now, is the dynamic pricing. So future-based pricing, where we will of course take like the static factors as well, but let's look into this dynamic pricing part. Okay, so just a second. Yeah. So let's, understanding dynamic or future based pricing, we need to first of all understand like what are the static factors and dynamic factors. And please, in comments, right, like put if you think there are like any additional static factors also. So currently, right, like, I mean, whatever I've seen, that like these are the important factors that I've seen. One is language pair, then the number of pages, words, the complexity of the content, turnaround time. I mean, if it is quick, you can charge premium. Then the industry, right? Like, I mean, there could be, right? Like, I mean, areas where, the translation could be legal or a socially sensitive documents. You have to like have that confidentiality part as well. Then, file formatting is also something important. Many times, right? Like, I mean, the files are in formats that we cannot edit. Then we may have to purchase like another license, or we have to do like some adjustments. So that is also very important part. Post-processing, right? What we have seen, right? Like, I mean, going forward with MTP, post-processing is also something very important. We have to look at how the file looks, and we also need to understand, like what are the efforts that are required for the post-processing. Then the research, many times, and you would have seen, right? Like, it's not just translating, and many MT tools, right? Like, are still in the learning mode, so they cannot actually figure out. So, for example, company name, right? Like, I mean, company names such as, which has a meaning as well. So for example, automation anywhere, right? It has a meaning as well. So when you translate, I mean, it is highly likely that the company name could also get translated. Then, a person keyword, person names, keyword, the addresses. I mean, these are the things that you need to do research also. So you have to find out, okay, how much time is going to require for that type of research as well. Do you have like any, I mean, I'm not able to see any chats, but okay, let me check, like if you have like any additional points that you would like to share in terms of your findings about static factors that affect pricing. Please mention that in the chat, and we'll be happy to discuss that as well. As I mentioned, right, like I want to have this interactive where you can also put your thoughts, so that we'll create some collective intelligence that could be benefit to all the participants. And I could see that there are around 80 participants at this moment. So now let's look into the dynamic factors now. So what are the dynamic factors, right? Again, I mean, this is something, based on what we have seen right, like in dynamic pricing that happens, right? Like in companies such as Uber, and like, I mean, these are like where, look into the demand supply part of it. So, you look into the fluctuation of supply. So availability of the translators, then the quality of the translators. I mean, this is based on the true rating and reviews. And again, like, this true word is very important. I mean, it has to be unbiased, right? When you put anything on your website, you can bias. I mean, I've heard that like on, big websites also you can buy, ratings and reviews. So it has to be really unbiased, and we really need to ensure that, we reflect, whatever the ratings of that translator through the unbiased system. Then the fluctuation in the demand, right? So what is that, amount of work that is available, right? Like, I mean, that is also important for deciding this dynamic pricing. Of course, turnaround time. I mean, if you want something quickly, you need to, charge little premium for that. Then, there are, again, right? Like, I mean, we also need to look into, the degree of localization. I mean, do you really want like a very high quality? I mean, do you want to do the localization of the content, or you want to focus only on the translation part of it? Okay. So, yes, and demand as well, right? Like, I mean, if there is a high demand, I mean, we have to actually like look into that part as well. I mean, so what is about this new model, right? Like, I mean, let's think of, right, like how, I mean, if you create, I mean, I'm just calling this as a futuristic model, right? Like what this model will bring to us. And I've put like two different colors. I'll explain the significance of those colors, but let's look into that part. Like, so what it will do, right? Like automatically detect the MTP work, right? Like this new model will, when you upload the file, it will quickly find out like what amount of work, right? Like you need to do MTP. Automatically understand the complexity of the domain, complexity of the document and domain as well, or complexity of that content. Then automatically determine the complexity of for the pre-processing and post-processing work. Then analyze the file with the counts. Sometimes what happens is the counts are like in the text boxes, in notes, and you have to take that also into account while translating. So it will analyze all the counts and like will do this part. Then there are like additional factors, studying patterns like of the historical cost, like how the historical costs had been. Again, we cannot keep that like as a 100% reference, because now the translation industry is changing, right? Like, I mean, historically, if you have just used the manual process, we cannot just compare apples to apples. So we have to take like some factors, additional factors, to understand whether that historical cost was MTP cost or it was, purely a translation cost. Then creating search factor, like a search factor is the name like that is used like in the Uber case, like where premium and discount is based on supply demand of the translators, like for that like given language pair. Then we have to look into several other factors such as national holidays, like whether that period like has. So for example, right now if you see I mean, if there are any systemic factors that could impact the pricing, like which country like it is working in. So there are several factors that we have to take into account. But if you could look, right, the green part, it's something that we can already do with the system. That I mean, we can go into the files automatically. Programs can look into the complexity part, and this is something that can be done. But the light blue or this blue part, right? Like it's something that we really need to work on. And I hope these colors are visible. I'm not sure like whether like these are visible, but these blue colors, right, like are something that will require a lot of studies. And these part, right, like it's something that we'll need to continuously like work on. And it's not going to be a model, like it's going to be adaptive model where it will keep on like getting a lot of inputs, and it will keep on like getting better and better, and we'll look into how it will look as well. Now, what are the benefits of this new model? Of course, I mean, benefits has to be there. Otherwise, there is no point, right? Like having the new model. So it will bring more transparency and standardization across the pricing. And let me mention you, right? Like why this is important. And wherever this transparency and standardization has happened, that market like has either grown or like it has, I mean, it has helped like vast audience. So imagine, right? Like what happened initially, the stock market, right? Like it was more like a manual where people used to call like a bid and ask like on the floor, and it's like they're shouting the rates. It was not like very, I mean, it still happens like in some part, but it's not like very very automatic way. But when the automatic, right, like bid ask and like this markets like were developed, we saw participation by common people increase, and that's how, right, like companies were able to take companies also view. So it is very important that transparency and standardization is required, like to ensure that, and this is something is missing at this moment in the translation industry. Now the second part is the volume of work, right? Like, I mean, right now what is happening, there is always a trust deficit. So clients want to give a work. I mean, how many times have you heard, right? Like clients really want to open up the work, but they are not sure when they want to work. And why it is happening? Because, you know, there is no standard way, right? Like of understanding pricing, and, you know, always so you know, the volume of work would grow as soon as, you know, you will start like the standardization. The, you know, quotation, with this quotation part, right? Like if you automate, translators would focus more on creativity rather than, so we can bring the globalization even faster, right? Like imagine, right? Like, I mean, if you have to focus only on the creativity rather than spending time on, you know, creating quotations, assignment of files, other manual tasks, and there is a, believe me, right, like there is a huge amount of work that is, you know, that is there right now. But I mean, we need to focus only on creativity, and other things that can be done by the computer or automatic. I mean, if you that will have to actually like give it to the computer. Then, you know, there will be a huge, you know, there will be a reference points for both translators and clients, and this is also something very important. And again, it relates to back to the second point, which is the volume of work will grow. Why? Because, you know, both translators and clients will have a reference point. And now this model, right, like, I mean, we'll also look into this price, but I mean, if we could actually take it to the client that, okay, look, I mean, based on, I have quoted, you know, for example, I have quoted 1,000 rupees, and based on this model, like it is somewhere around 10,000, 1,050 or 1,100 rupees, and this is like what my pricing is. So there will be, right, like a reference point for you know, translators as well as for the clients, you know, and this is unbiased, right, like translate point. Now let's look into, you know, let's look into why, you know, this is something important. And you know, have you ever negotiated, I mean, I'm just asking question and just like put your answer, have you ever negotiated with Uber or Ola for pricing? I mean, you are charging, you know, I mean, so for example, when you want to go from point A to point B, I mean, it automatically gives you the rate. Have you ever negotiated? You, I mean, even if you have negotiated, I mean, it's of no use, right? Like, I mean, it's going to go with the pricing that has been created by the system. So what has happened, right? Like I mean, since we know the pricing is not created by a human, right? Like sitting over there, we tend to, you know, trust in such you know, systems. And that's what like my next point is. I mean, we trust in bots, we don't trust in humans. Again, I mean, it's like very again generic. I mean, don't actually take it, I mean, we of course do trust like in humans, but we more tend to trust like in bots because they don't have feelings, they don't have like any prejudice, right, like for anyone. So we I mean, these are like running on algorithm. Of course, like algorithm can be improved, but again, it is unbiased, right? Like, I mean, it will not treat one person and the another person, right? Like in I mean, it will treat like it in different ways. So again, we trust in bots, right? Like that is something that we have you know, seen, and it's going to happen in the future as well, right? So how this process would work, right? Like, let me now quickly take you through how this process would work. You know, start, upload files, and again, this is like work in progress, and we really need to understand. I mean, if you are interested, I mean, if you get like enough beta, you know, I mean, users who could use this and like could help us like improve it, we would definitely like to spend time and ensure that like we're creating something on this. But how this process would work, you know, upload a file, set parameters, you know, and this will be optional, such as you know, when do you want to deliver, what type of quality, you know, there would be a lot of parameters that you'll have to fill. Again, those are optional, and more parameters you provide, more parameters you're providing to the, you know, to the system or a bot, and more accurate that system will be. Then press the submit. If you have if you don't have a Rian account, absolutely fine, you'll be able to generate a report. If you have Rian account, it will calculate reputations, it will do a lot of other things for you, like which will also be very helpful. And again, right, like I'll explain, like I mean, the ABC 3 parts that I've showed you, you will be able to use those parts as well, earlier parts that I discussed. But when it will create, right, like I mean, the price, it will provide you the price range. I mean, it will provide you the normal curve, like distribution, normal distribution curve, where, you know, it will give you the confidence that, okay, I mean, if you can go like with this much confidence, with 68.31 standard deviation confidence, like we can tell you that the price range could be 1,000 to you know, 1,200 rupees. Now, like second standard deviation, so we'll be able to provide you the quote that you can easily like use and which may not be directly based on static ways such as finding the number of characters and words, but it will be based on not only on the counts, but it will also take out repetition, it will take out the quality expectation, complexity of the document, the MTP work that is required, and surge factor based on the demand and supply. So this is how, right, like it will work. Then let's basically, right, like what are the benefits, right, like it will actually like bring. And do you want me to wait for a few minutes and take some questions on this, or should we actually complete the presentation and then we talk about this?
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Gayatri.
Hi, Gayatri. Yes.
Yeah. I would like to. I'm interested to know how will you calculate the complexity of the document, because it is subjective, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there is no standard for a complexity.
Right. But I mean, complexity, right? Like, I mean, you can find out the patterns of the sentences that are used, or you can also like, create, right? Like, I mean, so for example, again, right? Like, I mean, in the short run, what we can do is we can give that as a parameter, also to set you, right? Like based on what you think, right? Like the complexities, because for, someone who's working on patent, probably, right? Like it won't be complicated for him, but someone like who's working on only technology stock, so we will definitely keep that as a parameter. But looking at the document, looking at the historical document, looking at the amount of time that is required, like for doing the translation of the similar sentences, so doing like all these statistical analysis, we can easily find out, okay, the complexity of this part, right, like could be a little bit more, or we could also feed it based on and again, right, like I'm going to come back to this next part. I mean, we will need a lot of input parameters to feed in this model, so we will feed that like historically, and those parameters like will help us like define the complexity and other parameters as well. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else has a question? I mean, I definitely would like to take it at the end of the session, but yes, if you have any questions, we'll take it, or we'll just move to the another slide. So, automation. So what I think is, as I mentioned earlier, and that's a very important line, right? Like that I mentioned, I mean, translators should focus only on the creative part, and there is a huge work, right? Like in the creative part that we need to do, and they should actually leverage all the latest technologies so that they can focus more on creative work and contribute more to the society. So for that you need to have a code system like which is automated, TMS system which is a translation management system, and CAT system. What will happen with that? Like you'll be able to see the high return on your investments, and of course, right, like profits, which we always look for. And as things like would be very competitive going forward, and those who are using, I mean, it's going to be a new normal as well, right? Like as you could see now, Zoom, right, like, has become a new normal. Eventually, I mean, this could also be a new normal. So if you try to adapt with those things, like right now, probably you will like be ahead of the curve, so that's something very important. Now, with that, like what are the benefits? Centralized, translation for the maximum efficiency. You can focus more on the relationships, so what I've seen, and this is like just my personal opinion, what I've seen that like when I invest time, right, like especially when you're doing services, when you spend time like on the relationships, you just don't actually spend like time like on the relationships, but you try to create like more value for the user beyond just translation or that specific assignment. You give them new ideas, and then you create like a very good bond, right, like with that client as well. So there are less fluctuations when you focus more on the relationships. So that is also something that you really need to work on. Then you can leverage all the latest technologies without spending time like in learning, right? Like I mean, so what I've seen, right, like I mean, translators, I mean, creative people, right, like I mean, they don't like to use technology, and that's what like we are trying to do. We are taking away all the technology part from you. I mean, it's going to be like a very simple, easy to use, and all the complexity, right, like we'll keep like all things like very simple on the front end. Let the complexity should be taken care by like our developers and whoever working on the back end, so who are good at it, right? Like, and who enjoy that part as well. So taking out all the complexity, standardizing your processes, automating manual tasks, pay for your linguistic expertise, so you should be paid, right? Like, not for just sharing the files. I mean, you won't like get paid, right? Like, for that you have to use systems. So gain real-time visibility into everything that is going on, by looking at the project management system. So yes, definitely, like, you have to look into that part. Then achieve, right, like, all without micromanaging team management tasks. I mean, this all can be automated. I mean, most of the part can be automated, right? Like, I mean, at this moment as well. So now, right, like, I mean, if you look into the next slide, right, like, I mean, again, right, like, I mean, what Ryan is also focusing on is like creating simplicity, flexibility, standardization, automation, transparency, control, and consistency. That's like what like our focus is. Now, I earlier mentioned, right, like, that I have like some gift, or like would like to offer something free. I have worked like on this research paper, or like a paper we can call, and I have taken into account like how can we move from shifting from the historic to dynamic pricing model. And whatever I have discussed, I've discussed like very high level. I've put like all these details like in the paper. If you are interested, I've kept it free, so you can just go like at ryan.io/quote and just put your email address and you'll receive the paper, right? And if you also want to participate, I mean, I will also, maybe we'll share with whoever is interested. Please join our, group. Whoever is interested, like, in being beta, being part like of this model, like designing model. We are ready to share that, and we really want to see if we can create like this for free as well in the future. But again, this is again, right, like, I mean, it has got a lot of investment that is required, so we'll look into this part. But I mean, we want to ensure that like we are starting, and we are creating something that will help the large audience and community through this systematic way. Again, I mean, if I have to just like, those who don't know about Ryan is a platform where you can translate 22 different types of file formatting. We recently like also like created the API part. Crowdsourcing is something that we have done with the Fiki in the past, where we translated some data like of the government websites. We recently introduced, and this is something very exciting, those who are interested, please let us know. We have introduced something related to the video already. I mean, many clients like have been asking us to work on this. I mean, where we have like got like a lot of efficiency until now, right? Like, there were a lot of handshakes, right, like in between while creating, translating your video files, so a lot of steps are required, but we have now automated all the process, and you would see like a tremendous boost like in the productivity when you are translating your video translations. More than happy to share that information as well with you. If you are interested, please reach out to us. Now, the second, third, I think you also know, right, like FTBC. So with FTBC, I mean, it's an agency. We are laser focused on Japanese translation, like with this. But more importantly, what we need to do, right? Like, I mean, what we really want to do, of course, like that's an agency. We are working with many clients. But more importantly, we want to be a lighthouse for other agencies, right? Like, and that's something very important. So why are we taking these sessions? Why are we sharing this knowledge? We really want to ensure that everyone is using the best possible technologies. And wherever possible, we want to, open source, whatever work that we do, not work, right? Like, of course, it is clients' work, but whatever ways we do those work, we are ready to actually share whatever automation techniques, whatever regex, whatever like additional tools, or hacks that we are actually creating. We are really open to share them with everyone, so that everyone can get the benefit and can work, right, like more productively. And by the way, I would like to thank Anand Panchabhai for using his picture for the lighthouse that he has created. I really like this picture, so I just like use his picture. But yes, would like to thank him as well for this picture. But yes, so the goal is like to be a lighthouse. Okay, so now the next slide. I mean, as I mentioned again, please go to ryan.io/quote. to download this report. More than happy to see, right? Like, I mean, if you have, I mean, this is going to keep on like work in progress. So we'll keep on changing the parts. If you have any suggestions, if you want to put like any inputs, more than happy to include them. And maybe I'm also happy to create like it with the collaborative way as well. Yes, so download the report from ryan.io/quote. Okay, again, and if you want to join, right, like this is going to be like some time taking project. So if you want to join as a beta user, please reach out to us. We will create like, I mean, we already have got Ryan webinar group. If you're not part of this group, very soon I'll share the link like on the chat, when I'm answering the questions. I'll put that link. Please join that beta user, Ryan group, where we'll announce this beta user, where we'll have like some selected users will get like their inputs, and we'll also try to see how we can create something like that is useful for the wider audience. With that note, thank you so much, and more than happy to discuss and answer your questions if you have. Thank you.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks a lot for that insightful presentation. Very, very insightful indeed. So I liked that, caption, bots are not emotional. Yes, and in business, being less emotional will rather create a win-win deal for all the stakeholders, certainly. So the model that Anand explained about is for making the pricing activity fast and rather more rational as well, right? So if clients and vendors keep on convincing each other, what they are necessarily doing is trying to get a better deal for themselves and not for the other party. But having an objective pricing model based on objective and subjective, or quantitative and qualitative reference points or inputs is going to take out that emotional factor from such discussions. So in fact, eventually no discussions would be needed. Well, this sounds to be a very, very revolutionary idea and hence very crazy as well at this point in time. But when crazy things materialize, they create a new norm for sure. The model that we are trying to propose, the model that Anand explained right now, is going to be a new norm for sure. Later, if not sooner, of course. So, well, we also got a question regarding deciding complexity. As I said, sometimes we need to convince a client regarding complexity as well. But this model will make that part more objective, and then decisions can be taken in an easier manner. Great. So thanks, Anand, again. So now, if we have any questions from the audience, I'm sure you must be having many questions, because typically in these webinars, while we have freelancers or agencies that are involved in the translation activity, we also have the demand side, the client side participating. So from both the angles, if we could get some insightful questions or anything for that matter, please. Yeah.
Yes. So Salil, just one more point. I've shared the WhatsApp group link, right? Like those who have not joined, this webinar group can join, so that we'll keep them informed about the future, webinars, and the future beta user, like when that is available, we'll also share that. So I've shared that like on our chat group. Please join if you think like this can be helpful to you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So do we have any questions, any interesting questions, or any thought-provoking questions, any troublesome questions? Yeah, any questions are fine. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a question from LK Mishra. So we sign NDA with the client before taking up the translation assignment, and how can we honor that commitment? And like when we use the Ryan online tool, of course, right? Like you have to again, Ryan also has its own policies, and more than happy to share those policies as well. But it's not only with our tool, right? Like whenever you're using anything cloud, so when you receive any email, right, like that email is also on the cloud, if you see. So if you're using Gmail or Office 365, all these emails, right, like depending on how you have set up, we are like now working on the cloud. And of course, right, like when we create like such systems, or like when there are other systems, there are are proper audit ways as well to work. So currently, right, like, I mean, in case of Rian, I can explain, of course, like, I mean, there are like other tools also that are available which are online. But in case of Rian, when we actually go to the client, right, they don't just like accept and like start using it as it is. They look at like our, the way we have created the infrastructure to ensure that that confidentiality remains. So again, these privacy policies are there, and I'm sure, right, like, it's not only with us, I mean, with other companies, I mean, how we encrypt the data, how we ensure that, that basically is not used. And again, if there is like a huge work, I mean, we also do like sign NDA with, whoever is using that file. So I mean, that also, if that gives like more comfort, I mean, we do that as well. So yes, I mean, I hope like I have answered, but more than happy to, if you have any follow-up question, more than happy to answer that as well.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Mitali here.
Hi, Mitali.
We actually got this in the chat as well. We wanted to know when sometimes clients sends
Yes.
the PDF file and they ask you to quote it, and these PDF files are not editable, which cannot be OCR'd also.
Right.
So the scanned documents. So how do you go about with the pricing for that before the translation? I mean, some clients are not even ready to go with the per word quotation or per page quotation like that. Per
Right.
page wouldn't even be much practical in this case.
Right.
But at you must be aware, at times when people are asking for scan pages, complete project quotation.
Right.
So can you suggest your views on that particular thing?
Yeah. So this is really a good question, and we are also trying to find out like different ways. Now, what we have to do, right? Like with computer, what essentially we are trying to do is we are automating, or we are replicating the way human works, right? So first of all, what we try to do is, we try to actually look into it through OCR systems. Now, I assume, right, like when you're using like all the standard OCR systems, what we do is we have been continuously doing research and finding out different OCRs. So we have like multiple OCR systems. We can actually like use the best OCR system, but with that also many times you cannot figure out, right, like what exactly like the way is. But I have no question to you, right? Like, I mean, if there is no way, how do you do it? Do you go, right, like, and do you write it down and then create like the count? But I mean, how do you do it at this moment when you're not able to use like the existing tools that are available for you?
See, in that case, what have happened till now is we have tried to convince the client to go with the forward quotation after the translation.
Right.
Because practically speaking, when it's a completely, and when there is a lot of content on a page, it is not just about where you can sit and calculate, and especially when it comes to a language like Japanese,
right,
where you cannot go on calculating characters on a scanned PDF document.
Right.
It is just
Right.
impossible. So in that case, we generally try to convince the client to go with the per translated. I have to
Right.
let go of that particular project, because I think it would be unfair to me as well as a translator
Yes.
to go on a,
Yes.
like if I quote them a price for example, I quote them a price of 1,000 rupees, and then the actual cost comes down to 2,000.
Yes.
Or even if I quote them
Yes.
500.
Right.
So on both sides, it would be unfair in any of the case.
Right. So, I mean, to answer, again question, and thanks for actually answering this. So these are the things, that like would also. So there would be definitely like some types of files that we may not be able to work, like when it is like very, when the quality is not good, because still like, even with the best OCR systems, we cannot figure out. But what we can do, right? Like what we can do is we can replicate like what human can do, right? Like for example, we can use some, of course, OCR like is a way to find out, like identify the number of characters, but we can actually put like one layer on top of it to view the file from the computer and see whether it is really bad, like in terms of, and we can actually tell you that let's basically ensure that this cannot be done through this model at this moment, and it looks like, I mean, you'll have to actually like get the pricing the way you did, right? Like, I mean, you have to agree on after the output is ready, you have to like do that pricing. So of course this this type of document may not work, but ideally, right, like, I mean, at least like model should be able to tell you that like, okay, this cannot work, and you should actually like agree on the price beforehand with this, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
So regarding this point, I have a question.
Sure.
For non-editable PDF files, can we have some norm like if we get the character count? So some standard for pricing it on the basis of number of pages. Maybe some X amount for so much X number of pages like that.
Yes, that's a good idea. Thank you for bringing this point. I mean, of course, we can also think on that way. Again, right, like, I mean, ideally, we should find out like number of words and characters. Why? Because that is also one very important parameter. But I mean, if you're not able to find that, maybe alternatively what we can do, we can look at the, just by like having the computer vision, right? Like, I mean, computer vision, like as a, algorithm, like, or which is sitting on top of that, we can just look into the document and we can see whether it is like very complicated or whether it is something that can be doable. And based on the pages also we can come up with, but again, we'll have to define like some standardizations. And for that, we'll have to get a lot of the ways like historically, for example, translators have done it. And what I've seen, right, like in general, when the files are protected, I mean, ideally, what translators also should do is ask them to give, like when they are giving you the work, they would have, rights to use that or open that file as well, right? So just ask them if they can actually provide. And in our case, 9 out of 10 times what happens, they are ready to provide us the details, so that like we can extract that file easily. So that is also something that you should actually check with them. And this happens, right, like it's just about like asking to the client and telling them that, right, like, look, I mean, if you have this file, I mean, it would definitely like reduce the amount of or if we will be able to provide you with little less budget, or you don't have to spend like on formatting and like other parts as well, unless you want to take that formatting work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So yes, any other questions that anyone has?
Yeah, great. We have been receiving very nice questions. Thank you for the questions. If we have any more questions, please do ask.
That's an entire webinar. Yes. So Anuj is asking, would make sense to have an entire webinar where we can use the live, we can look into this model. So Anuj, just to answer, thank you for asking the question, and thank you for joining this webinar as well. So what we are planning to do, right? Like, I mean, this is not going to be a project, where within 2 months this project would be finished. This is going to be an ongoing project. We'll need a lot of parameters to feed into this as well, and this will. I mean, so what we will do, right? Like whatever is possible to automate, we'll create like the first version, and maybe after every some specific time, what we'll do is as soon as that part is ready, we'll create a webinar and we'll show, and we'll open it up as well, and whoever is going to join like as a beta, we want to open it like in the initial period for free, so that they can also get the benefit. They can put the inputs, and we'll give like give them some preferential benefits as well, those who are contributing in this model.
Yeah, thanks Anuj. Thanks for offering that help. Definitely we will be requiring such inputs from the community, because the model eventually is going to be for the community. So thanks a lot for offering that help. I will definitely come back to you and the entire community. And as Anand also suggested, it is going to evolve. And once the model is ready for the presentation, we will definitely take you through the model so that you can get some hands-on experience of the model. Great. So
okay, excellent. So I think I'm just going through the questions to see like if there are any, but as you know, right, like you can always join, like please join the group if you have not, and if you want to actually stay updated about all the future events. There are like some good private comments as well. Thank you, Prajwal, for sharing your thoughts and suggestion. Yes, so I mean, if you have like any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Please join the group where we'll keep you posted about all the latest advancement like in this regard. All right, so shall we call it a meeting? It's already 3 p.m.
So it has been exactly 1 hour. So great.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Anand, again. And thank you all for joining today's webinar. Again, let's meet next Wednesday. We'll be soon announcing the topic for the next Wednesday as well. Be in tune. Okay. And great. Enjoy your remaining day. Happy working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Anand.
Thank you.
Sensei.
Thank you.